In this video, I'm checking out my memories. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again. And yes, in this video, I'm checking my memories out, and let me take you on a little journey back in time. I picked up a camera for the first time when I was pre-teens, probably about 6 years old. And my father had a twin lens reflex Kodak Brownie camera. I'll see if I can find a picture of it on the internet somewhere. Fascinating little camera. And I remember being fascinated by the fact that you'd look down into this little window, the flip up top, you'd flip the top up, and there'd be this little window, and you'd look down through there, and the whole world was down on this one little piece of glass, which you'd look down onto. And as you moved around, the world was there, but it was a different perspective. And I was fascinated by that. I think it took 126 or 127 roll film, something like that. Can't remember the exact size of it. And it was a smaller format than the normal format, the normal medium format cameras. But I played around with that camera, and I enjoyed playing with it. Later on, I got all sorts of things. We bought a Zenit E, a big Russian SLR camera, which was interesting. It was huge. It was like a brick. And I took photographs on that, and I remember being so disappointed at what was coming out, because I'd see all these fancy glossy photographs on magazines and on TV and in cinema, and my photographs never looked like that. And I couldn't understand why. Later on, I bought myself my OM1N when I was in my late teens. When I first joined the Air Force, I bought my OM1N. Well, that's a professional camera, because David Bailey was using it. It must be professional. And it was the first real awakening as to why the gear itself wasn't important. I had a professional 35mm camera. It had fantastic lenses with it. You could adjust easily all the exposure control. You know, the speed control was a ring around the lens, and the aperture was on the lens. It was just so easy to use. And my photographs were disappointing. I'd look at them, and they weren't what I wanted them to be. I wanted them to be just like the glossy ones. I wanted them to be like David Bailey was taking, for goodness sake. He used the same camera. Surely, using the same camera, I was the same as David Bailey, wasn't I? I saw him taking photographs. He was on TV with an OM1 and a 50mm Zyko lens. And I had that, and it didn't work. It was the 1.8 lens he had on the front. It didn't work the same way as he did. That's when I realised that being a photographer wasn't just a case of pointing a camera. It wasn't a case of just having the right gear. It was what went on the other side of the lens from where I'm looking now, from the back, the person in the back, and what went on in the little bit of grey matter which was associated with that. What was interpreted by the eyes, and how the eyes would be able to control that camera to get the best out of it. But more importantly, how those eyes would interpret what it saw to be able to condense it down onto a small piece of celluloid. Not easy. Not easy. And that was the first step in my journey. Well, I wanted to become a far better photographer. I was in the Air Force. I wasn't a photographer in the Air Force. I was an electronics engineer. So I was very technical. I'm a very technical-based person. Always have been. A very scientific-based person. I wanted to know how a camera worked. Now, I'd done things like, in my late teens when I was at school, I'd done things like developing and printing. You know, I got into the idea of developing a film and printing it and learning how you can, you can underexpose it and push the developer slightly and be able to push these things out and get more contrast, and how you could dodge and burn, all those sort of techniques. I'd learned how to do them, but they still weren't good photographs. In the mid-80s, I set myself my first photography business up. While I was still in the Air Force, it was a little sideline business, and I did a few weddings. And the results came out okay, but not terrific. Still using my Olympus, still with some really good lenses, but the skill set wasn't there Don't know if it ever has arrived, actually. And all the way through my journey as a photographer, all the way through, I've been looking at other people's work and thinking to myself, what if? And I look at some people's work and I think, you're professional? Really? That's a hideous photograph. Why are you making big money out of selling that photograph? I think it's atrocious. Then I look at another photographer's work and think to myself, that's fabulous. That really is fabulous. And that's taught me a few lessons over the years. It's taught me, first of all, that we all have different tastes. The ones I consider to be atrocious photographs, somebody likes them. The photographer obviously did because A, they took it, B, they published it, and C, it has an audience. But I don't like it. There again, I don't like rap music, but there's a huge audience for rap music. So does that mean that rap music's bad? No, it just means I don't appreciate it. I don't see what the connection is to me in that. But the people who it has a connection to, it's important to them. Some people, it's a vital part of their life. To me, music is a vital part of my life, but it's some music, not all music. And the music which I do like, I take to heart. It has an emotional feeling. I mean, let's look at that for a moment, the music side for me. There are some songs which just have an immediate effect on me. Stardust, the Hoagy Carmichael song, when it's done by Nat King Cole, is one of those pieces of music which makes me cry. It has such an amazing beauty to the lyrics and the melody, which hits me somewhere inside my inner cortex and makes an emotional response immediate. So obviously some music has an effect on me, and there's an awful lot of people out there who won't like Nat King Cole's music and wouldn't like Stardust if they heard it and wouldn't see anything special in it. But to me, it works. Photography is a bit like that. Some people's photographs really emotionally move me to the point where it can bring tears. A two-dimensional image on a screen, or better still, on a piece of paper, can drive me to tears. It can provoke laughter and mirth and merriment. It can provoke feelings of warmth and homeliness. It can provoke horror, fear. It can provoke disdain. All on a two-dimensional image on a piece of paper or a screen. Without any movement. It doesn't need a movement, but some people with the photographs just manage to get movement. There's a sense of movement on some of the photographs. The best photographs for me tell a story, and they transfer that story over from one person to another. It could be a photo shoot of a fashion model, but the story is about the person, the clothing, the situation, whatever it is, there's a story associated to it. We've all seen some of these phenomenal photographs of wartime. Second World War, Vietnam. There's a fabulous photo which was in Time magazine of a young girl post I think it was a napalm attack. And she's still alive, by the way. I'll see if I can find the photo. I'll try and put it up, but I really I don't know if I can at the moment. But if it doesn't come up, don't worry about it. You'll probably know the photo anyway. That tells a horrific story. But it tells stories. Anyway, back to my photographs. I wasn't a storyteller. I wasn't able to portray those things. And I wasn't able to be a good photographer, I thought. But the other day I found a box of photographs. Box of old photographs. Big box. Lots and lots of prints. A lot of them black and white from my early days. Some of them colour. Some of them very faded colour, unfortunately. It's as was the way that it used to be, with a lot of the emulsions and things over time. And these were photographs which, at the time, I just rejected. Yet now I look at them. Pictures of myself when I was younger. Pictures of my family. My mum passed away in 1988. She was only 53. My dad, he passed away in 96 when he was only 63. So that's, what, almost 30 years for one and almost 40 years for the other. Yet the memories which they can pull back, the expressions on the faces, which I captured the expressions on the faces. There's one particular photograph which I've got of my mother, which is just absolute joy. It's a joyous photograph. Technically, it's atrocious. The framing is wrong. She's off to one side, you know, this rule of thirds. Forget the rule of thirds, I didn't come into it. And it's got a cluttered background. But there's a twinkle in her eyes, and it had a particular smile. And my mother had a distinct smile. She laughed a lot. And I looked at that photograph, and it made me pause. It made me think. And it brought back a flood of memories. Instantly, that two-dimensional image brought back a flood of memories, happy and sad. I was smiling yet shedding a tear at the same time. All because of a two-dimensional image on a piece of paper from somebody who thought he couldn't take good photographs. It's one of the best photographs I've got now that I look at it now. But I'm looking at them through a different set of eyes. I'm looking at them through a set of eyes which doesn't say, I need to be really good, I need to be professional, I need to learn all these techniques, I need a better camera, I need a better lens, I need better gear. It's speaking to me through a set of eyes which says, I'm 63 years old. I've got less life ahead than I have behind me. And memories, I'm coming to the conclusion, memories are there for the old. Memories are there for the people who've lived them to enjoy their later life. We make memories when we're younger, but we have a poor appreciation on things. We take things for granted. And now that I've passed my sort of midpoint, I realise the importance of those photographs. I realise the importance of taking photographs of people, of places, of things. Things which will tell stories. And what I'd love to do is go back to my younger self and say, it's okay, Brian, it's okay. You're not going to be perfect, so don't try to be. But enjoy doing what you're doing. And instead of trying to get that artistic shot which is going to impress somebody else, why not get the shot which is going to impress you in 40 years' time? I was lucky. I took a lot of photographs when I was younger. And out of all those photographs, I've got some real wonderful memories. There are some atrocious ones. But you tell me a photographer who doesn't take atrocious photographs now and again. There are places which I've visited. Places which don't exist anymore. So not only have I provoked memories, but I've also kept a record of something frozen in time. Frozen in that moment of time. People who will be in the photographs who had that passing meeting, never to meet again, but that one moment in time, all those people in the scenes, passers-by, people in the background, people in the foreground, they were all in that one place at that one time, and it's captured it. There are places at the beach, they're on holidays, up in Highlands of Scotland, down in Lancashire, we used to go to Clitheroe. There's photographs from there. There's photographs of my sister. There's photographs of my grandparents. Goodness. And all of those photographs tell me a story. And all those photographs can help put my story to other people. So next time you're down, next time you think to yourself you're not good enough taking your photographs, next time you're trying to get that perfect shot and it's not working, ask yourself why you're trying to take that shot. Because it might just be that that shot, although you think it's not working, has worked better than you think. So what do you take your photographs for? Do you tend to try and impress other people? Sometimes we have to. When I was working commercially, you had to take photographs to impress other people. You had to take the photographs which would impress your client, which would fit the directive given to you by them. But even then, should be a story in it. Never photograph something without a story. The story can be in your mind, but never photograph something without a story. When I used to take school photos, I could have 500, 1,000 children come through in front of my camera every day. You've got 30 seconds at the maximum per person to capture something. But that story for each one of those individual children is what you are actually selling to the parents. You're not selling a photograph. You're selling a moment in time which will be treasured by them for the rest of their lives, and maybe by the subject later in their life as well. It'll be the thing which they'll look upon and think, did I really look like that? Did I really have all this acne? Was I really that young? It's the story of a young person captured. And even if you've only got 20 or 30 seconds to capture that story, as a photographer, that's your job. If you take a photograph of an old village church, you're capturing that church at that moment in time. It might have been there for 700 years. But the important thing is you're capturing it when you're taking that shutter press, when you're pressing that button. And that's important because, again, things change. Buildings can change. Surroundings can change. Fashions can change. But what you're doing is capturing a story. Or you should be, in my opinion. Let me know below what you take photographs for. I'm really interested. Do you try and capture a story? Is there something important whenever you press a shutter? Does it make you a better photographer? And is the gear important to you? Let me know below. Now, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, because that really does help. Helps the algorithms to get more and more people watching my videos. And don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button below, because that also helps the channel, and it doesn't cost you a penny. All it does is put you into a different list on your machine so that you can find my videos easier. And a final word to all these wonderful people here, who every time I am amazed at, because they give the support to try and keep this channel going and help me to survive on here. And if you don't want to do a full patronage, you can buy me a coffee in the link below, or a super thanks below. But till the next time, keep on taking your camera out. Keep on telling your stories. It's worth it. Bye-bye.